Welcome back to the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast.
Bang, 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 bang.
Bang, 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 bang. We are your hosts, Clint and
TLB.
James. Yeah, let's get down to fucking business. How you doing, buddy?
It's TLB. Oh,
It is.
we're just getting down to business. Dude, new year. Brand new year.
Brand new
me.
fucking year. New year, new me.
23, like Michael Jordan. It's
Does
gonna
that,
be the GOAT.
but really, like, what does that mean? You know, like new year, new me. What does that mean? Like you're totally abandoning who you were last year? Like there's some stuff I liked about me last year. Maybe I want to keep that going into this year.
Yeah, my year wasn't that bad, so I'm not gonna say new me totally. I don't understand the people that try to do that. Like I get they're just trying to change their habits and yeah, you know, try to go to the gym today and that shit was packed. A little more packed than usual.
It's debatably the worst time to ever try and go to a gym immediately after New Year's.
Yeah, it's the irony of like the first month of the year of a brand new year is the gym is overcrowded, the bars are empty, and then by spring it just starts to switch a little bit. Like
Yeah.
Like
It's a
happy
little bit
hours
of
back
shift.
on 5:30 workout, not happening anymore. No cardio.
I don't know. The
We
New
need
Year's
carbonation.
we need carbonation, right? The New Year's resolution thing was always so tricky to me too, because it's like there's a bunch of different things that make me feel this way. But if you need the new year to be your inspiration to do something or to adapt a new habit, it's the weakest of the things to cling to, right? Because every day that goes by, you get further away from the day that you thought that idea. And the closer you get to the new year, the easier it becomes to say, well, I'll just do it again at the next new year. This year sucked. I was really bad at it this year, but next year I'm going to be better. I don't know. That's at least what I've always seen it as.
Well, it's just something about that milestone of the calendar year just makes everybody, you know, A, really nostalgic and
Sure.
B, just really like, I guess, trying to think towards the future of like, okay, well, this is the year. This is my year. But ironically, the last time that I like did anything and I was like on social media and I was like, yo, this is going to be a great year. It was like January 2020. So I don't do that anymore. I was like, yo, me and the homies are fucking doing it this year. Let's go. And then, yeah, dude. And then fucking like, I was like in this sick ass recording studio, you know, it was like a picture of me in like a sick ass recording studio that like Nirvana recorded in. So I was like feeling good. And there's like a Boys to Men
Top of the
record
top
on the wall. I was like, the Boys to the Men were here. Yes. And then I'm like, oh, this is it, boys. Here we go. And then nothing.
Yeah. Well,
But,
you know,
yeah, no, it's something about it's something about that calendar year that just gets people nostalgic. And you know, in the olden days, nostalgia was considered a disease. Like they would just think that you were just like ill.
What? Seriously? Is that seriously a thing?
Yeah, they would, you know, they would burn people for fucking anything. Like, they'd be like, oh, she's nostalgic for the past. She must be sick. Let's put leeches on her and burn her.
Holy shit. That's fucked, dude.
What? I mean, you never think it's like sad when people are stuck in the past.
Well,
I mean, now we obviously
definitely,
know that it's
my
just
man.
memories.
My man. Okay, yeah, right. Well, but that's something totally
you ever
different,
met
right?
You ever met like an old guy who's like the uncle from Napoleon Dynamite? He's like, oh, if coach just would have put me in, things would
Bro,
be different, man.
I
Like,
meet a guy like that every
I'd be a
fucking
state
day.
champion.
I meet a guy like that every day.
I'd be a state champion by now.
Now, look, I what's funny, I've never heard that. And that is fucking hilarious if that is the case. If it was like they would lock you in a mental institution. And I don't doubt that they did, because they used to lock people in mental institutions for way less, and they'd lobotomize you for way less too. But I've always kind of seen it as a disease. Like I've always looked at people who can't get past a certain point of their life as like ill. that they're living all this life, but they're still trying to emulate the way they were feeling at that one point in every day, that further distant past. I don't know. It's just funny because I didn't realize that they actually fucking treated it as a disease at one point.
Yeah, like I don't know exactly what they did. I think it was like obviously a very long time ago. I think this was like
Sure.
pre-mental institution,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But now
yeah.
we know with like the study of it, and of course we're not going to understand the human brain. If you listen to last week's episode, there's all kinds of crazy shit on that. But it's we kind of understand now that when people go through a huge trauma in their life, that they kind of stop emotionally maturing around that age, right? Like say like
Sure.
you're a teenager and then your shit gets really fucked up, like you see your family die or something, you kind of like don't
Get
go
trapped
past that
there.
until you
Yeah.
until you kind of release whatever that trauma is, right?
Therapy or something. Yeah.
And that's why you act like you're 9 years old all the time. What happened when you were 9?
Well, so many things happened when I was 9. Like I realized our banking system was fractionally reserved. That really stopped. I didn't really get past that yet.
Man, was that the Florida public school system really just killing it?
Yeah. Well, no, no, they weren't. They weren't. But yeah, Courtney and I joke about this all the time. Like we're just convinced that way more people need therapy. Way, maybe that should be people's New Year's fucking resolutions. Maybe everyone finally decides to not continue to bottle up whatever repressed emotional shit that they've been carrying around their entire life, that baggage that's just weighed them down forever, and they fucking go to therapy or maybe even get on drugs. Okay? We got so many options.
It's good
now.
for you.
It is.
It's good for you.
It is good.
And
for you.
if I can just like, I guess throw out I'm gonna air a grievance, for the new year.
Let's go ahead. It's a New Year's.
This is just my 34-year-old white guy rant on how social media ruins everything. But no, I mean, it's like you see everybody and like, you get on the internet and you're like, oh, Happy New Year, everyone. Cool. It's a picture of me and my friends. We're partying or whatever. And then you see the people that like, they log on at like 12 like PM the night, that night of, and you see it the next morning or something. And they're like, yeah, this wasn't a really good year for me. There were some highlights, but everything was just really dark. And it's just like, why do you feel the need to like air that? And I get that like, it's fine to express yourself on the internet, but that's also like, the internet is not a real thing. Like you're not going to get real results from that. Like you're just going to get that quick little attention and serotonin boost of like, oh, I like you. I care about you. It's okay, bud. But what you really need is somebody who is unbiased to listen to you and just be like, yeah, how'd that make you feel? What's a way that like we can identify that starting to happen to you and maybe not do it like stuff that a therapist does, not a dude that you played a show with one time on Facebook like 8 years ago,
Well, because Clint, therapists are going to make you think about things that are hard. It's going to be hard work sifting through all the shit that you've been avoiding your entire life. And most people don't want to do that. So they just post about it on Facebook and, they can chastise the people that disagree with them. They can feel connected by the people who support them. People who don't really support them, might I add. They're just liking and saying thoughts and prayers, right? It's the equivalent of thoughts and prayers. And that's because that's easy. That's easier. And then after that post is done, they don't have to do any more work, right? They don't have to go home and be confronted with the harsh realities that someone like a trained therapist would confront them with, would force them to fucking acknowledge and deal with. That's why. That's why
I'm real
that's
on
why
the
they do
internet.
that.
Okay. I say that I'm depressed and talk about things that I hate on the internet. And that person who's just smiling and doing shit, they're fake. That's a fake person, right? It's
You
like, no,
really-
that person probably just like kind of has it together a little bit. Like, I don't know, dude. Like,
well,
and nobody's really got it together. That's what you figure out, but
that or it's all a fucking show. Like they're just showing you the highlights to make you think that their life is that way when in reality it ain't, because nobody's fucking life is that way.
I don't post pictures of me like fucking like sad or hungover on the internet. I only post like cool shit that I do, right? But those are the highlights, right? You want to see the highlights. I mean, I don't know. It's here. here's what I figured out about the last year. At least here's my takeaway from 2022. As you become an adult, you get really locked into ways of thinking and, just like your routine and whatever it is. 2022 reminded me that there are no rules. There's no set path that you have to take. Sure, there's things that you should do and things we all have to do. Like everybody's got to work, everybody's got to do this shit, right? But like, dude, I had I had 3 different jobs this year just because I was like, no, I don't like that one. I'm gonna do something else. And everybody was like, what are you doing? I'm like, trying to be happy. Like, like all the while I'm just like doing things that I haven't done in a very long time because they make me happy and everything's fine. Like I've still got an apartment. I've still got all this shit, but like, I think everybody gets so wrapped up in like their work and thinking that their work is the most like, oh, it's the most important thing. And I have to do this so I can do this. And you don't, there's ways you can do it. And if you just hustle, you can still pay your bills and get shit done. And you don't have to worry about shit. And you can just like post on the internet when you feel like it and not, for therapy.
It's really funny because I don't know if I've even acknowledged the existence of my Facebook in like 3 or 4 years, but it was after you told me to stop doing that. And I think that was also like, it was probably during the period of time during the pandemic, but also during the pandemic when I'd fucked my leg up. So I could do nothing but look at
this was the strongest
media.
muscle.
Yeah, really. Seriously. I wasn't moving at all. I was sedentary on my fucking couch for at least 3 months before I could start doing rehab and or physical therapy. And you told me to cut that out. And I cut that out, and it was easy, but I also never was like a person who posted on there compulsively anyways. And
no,
anymore, I'll agree with you that I think there's a collective sentiment of fuck it that has occurred since the pandemic and growing in number, which is something I'm fully behind. I hope that continues. I hope people continue to snub their nose at convention and to think and feel that there is another way, because if you think and feel that, eventually you'll figure out another way, an alternative to whatever situation you don't want to be stuck in. If you commit enough fucking energy and proper thought and practice to it. But I don't know. I think that it's hard work. It's hard to do those things, and people don't like to do the hard work. But the hard work personally is where you stand to benefit the greatest. Like, let's say you hate your job, right? You just hate your fucking job, and you think, you know what? I just need another job. And you go to that new job and you work it, and it's good for a little bit. You get that serotonin boost for a little bit, but then the reality starts to sink in. It's just another job. It's just another job. So then you start to hate that job because it's just another job. So you leave that job and find a new job, all the time, not taking into account, why am I unhappy? Like what is the source of my unhappiness this job? Well, if I've changed multiple jobs and I'm still unhappy, what's the problem? Is there something that's following me around? I don't know. I'm convinced, Courtney and I are both convinced, most people just need therapy. We need therapy. People need to be taking therapy. A lot of people that are even like criminal offenders, they're not criminal offenders outright. They just need fucking therapy. If they had therapy, they would be able to deal with and process their emotions, and they'd be able to navigate every situation without becoming emotionally reactive to whatever it is. But again, that's hard work.
What's crazy is like I see a correlation of people that seem like legitimately happy or are doing things, right? Nobody's happy all the time. That shit's a fucking lie.
Right.
But like,
right.
People that are actually doing things, and the way that they use like the internet and Facebook and things like that. Because if you're using it as a tool, as it was, initially meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. then you seem to have like a much healthier relationship with it and yourself, and the people that use it for entertainment or kind of like a weird bit of therapy or a weird bit of like, obviously everybody uses it for entertainment, but you know what I'm saying? If that's your main source of like, that's what you do all the time, you're not going to be feeling great when you're off of that,
Right.
And ever since Facebook just needs to die. Like ever since like mom moved in and she figured out how to use it, you're there, because then you're like, okay, well, I'm not these kinds of things anymore because now my grandma's on Facebook or whatever,
Right. Right.
But then also you're seeing this whole thing of like the same people a long time ago that told you don't believe everything that you read on the internet now see an infographic and they're telling you about it, and you're like, please, mom, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yes, yeah, it's funny how that one changed, isn't it?
And then they just end up arguing with people. I get the troll. I do. I love a good troll. I think it's funny.
Yeah,
But
sure.
there's also just like the people that's like, I can't tell if you're a troll or if you're just like, some people are just mentally ill. There's mentally ill on there, and they just love arguing with people. And
this is what
all
I'm saying.
they do is just the negative.
Clint, this is what I'm saying. Therapy for all. Therapy for all. We want to solve it's so funny because this thesis it cuts to the core of all my other theses. It's not the fucking institutions that are the problem. It's the fucking people that run the institutions. It's not the government that's the problem. The government on paper is a great idea. Almost every form of government is legitimate on paper. It's the fucking people that administer it that are the fucking problem. All these corporations, they could be great. They could be pillars of our society, but the people that run them they want to just be rich for themselves. They don't want to spread that wealth around at all, right? So it's the fucking people. And another funny correlation there is, I've seen this cited. I'd have to pull up a specific article or link to it, but the same narcissistic tendencies that serial killers have are commonly found in people who run Fortune 500 companies.
Like CEOs, like big CEOs.
That's not a shocker. Okay, when you break it down like that, the same level of cutthroat narcissism and complete lack of empathy for others, that makes complete sense. You have to be both of those things to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 or a serial killer. But the funny thing there is, what solves the disorder of both of those things is advanced therapy. Maybe even some medication, and in extreme circumstances, hospitalization. And I'm not against that either, because if your mental lens does not mesh with the general sentiment of the society around you at that time, we can't let you go around killing people, right? I'm all for freedom. I'm all for people thinking whatever they want to think, however fucked up it may be. But I'm definitely not for violence against other people, especially shit that can be avoided with something as simple as goddamn therapy and medication. Right? Other countries figured this out. Why haven't we captured it?
Well, because somebody's not making enough money off of it.
Right. That's precisely the point. And the root of this fucking problem is people. It's not even money. It's not even money. Like, we could have an entire fucking country filled with gold and dollars that represent that gold. By itself, it'll never kill anyone. No, it will never hurt anything except for the ground that it's on top of, not letting grass grow. But even so, grass will find a way to grow. It's the people. As soon as you add the fucking people to the mix is when it gets fucked up. But
absolutely,
I'm telling you, fucking therapy. And there is another healthy sentiment that you touched on briefly. Stepping away from the fucking internet. It's not real, people. It's not real. It's not a real place. It can only be taken so seriously. And to your point about fucking news and information, Jesus Christ, you have never been more
just
right.
Imagine, like, we take all of this for granted, right? Like, you don't think of every day and say, oh, thank think that I'm bored in a time that there's Wi-Fi everywhere and what you just take it all for granted, right? You just don't think about it. Now imagine if the internet costs like $50 a day to use, how much more efficient it would be. Or you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't just be like fucking off, or you would like sort through the things that don't really matter. You'd be like,
Right.
oh, I want this, this, and this. Or like,
Done.
here's my one post for the day. It is
Yeah.
this. It is something creative, or it is something like, it's not just like, going to see a movie, eating nachos with my friends, peace out. Like it's not just like dumb shinfo that nobody needs, right?
Yeah.
So here's the politicians I'm going to vote for: therapy for all, and the internet costs $50 a day.
Honestly, those are both really good ideas. And though
I'll wear
though I don't agree with modern politics, that is some fucking politics I can get behind. That is, if some politician came out here saying fuck the people, up the charge of internet, and therapy for all, that's somebody I'd vote for.
My opponent is a nostalgist, and
he should be burned alive at the stake, as we did with nostalgia
massive amounts of therapy
previously. Yeah. I just don't know. I honestly, I feel like in the past year, I've probably said that more to people than I've ever said it in my entire life. Like, you need therapy, and it's not even
me, for sure.
I'm not even trying to be a dick. That's the thing, dude. Like, I'm not even trying to be a dick. I see my friends suffering and want to help, but no, and I'm reserved enough to understand I am not a medical professional. I offer you no serious medical benefit by talking to me. It might help you in the meantime, and I'm glad to be here and do that. But if this is a real problem that's affecting you, you need fucking help. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. So
I do want to throw out there too. There was a job that I had for like 4 or 5 months earlier this year, where I was basically working on the back end of therapy practices. Right. So I would help them I would basically work with a team of therapists, and I just basically help them out with all their business stuff. I would help them get scheduled, find new clients, do all these things, contracts, like any like legal stuff they had to do. Sure. Whatever.
Their job is just to
talk to the person. Right.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that therapists also have no idea what they're doing. And that's what you have to kind of like let go. You think you're going into some crazy thing where it's like, oh, and this person's going to be really judgmental. It's like, I've gotten off the phone. I've had phone calls with these people, and they're like, yeah, I just like, they all have imposter syndrome about, just what they're doing. Yep. And that whole system is super crazy too. I can't talk about it much, but like, it could be a whole episode. Like it. Like once I saw behind the curtain, I was like, I don't know about that. But I mean, therapists also don't know what's going on. And they also need therapists. Like, I feel like they would come to me with problems and start like talking. And I was like, I can't give you any advice other than like what to do efficiently for your business.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah, they come to me with this like imposter syndrome stuff.
Clint, it's because they're people. They're people too.
Exactly.
They're fallible. Needs it. They're fallible fucking people who, they pursue psychology or therapy, but that never cures you, because we're fucking diseased. We're diseased mentally right now in society to a level that is almost irreparable. If everyone started therapy tomorrow, which I highly recommend, we still wouldn't
There's not enough therapists for it.
There's not enough therapists, number one. And number two, there isn't enough time to cure the level of fucking sickness that we have. You said something earlier, too, that made me think of something that was said to me as a kid. My friend's dad always used to say, we live better than any king ever did. And it never made sense to me until I became like 20, early 20s. And I just took a moment to think about it. We live better than any king ever lived. That's because no king, except for the fuckface who's king right now in the UK, none of those medieval kings lived with indoor plumbing or air conditioning.
Yeah.
They had all that money, but they smelled like shit, and they died by 54 if they were lucky to not be assassinated by one of their siblings who wanted the throne.
And they'd be
You know
like,
what I mean?
God damn it. I'm so tired of having sex with all these different women and only women being born. I have to keep going until I need a son.
I need a son. I've contracted every
Also,
venereal disease, but I'll still fucking if I need to.
Also, this small cut has now given me gangrene and I'm missing my left leg.
Yeah, it was a simpler time.
Also,
really.
I stopped emotionally maturing when I saw my father die when he was 34 and I was 9.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It's because fucking people are the problem. It's not the planet. It's not the society. The society is a byproduct of the people, and the people are fucking diseased, and we're fucking diseased and sick. And if we don't do anything about it, nothing's going to get better. It's only going to get worse.
I mean, bro, the earth is trying to kill us. Like there was a big,
wouldn't you, if you had an infectious disease growing in number on your body?
Even like, they're like, okay, shit, the plague thing didn't work. Here, we're just going to give crazy different temperatures and extreme conditions all across the country. And then specifically to make them all kill themselves over the holidays because they're so stressed out and they've been stuck in an airport for 3 days. Like it was like 0 degrees in like the southeast. And did you travel anywhere? Like, did you travel?
Fuck no.
Yeah, no, I mean, fuck that, right? But I had friends that were like stuck places. Like they were just like, yeah, everything is canceled and there's nothing I can do about it, right? Yeah, and just because it's so cold, or it's like, hey, there's a random ice storm, and like everything is shut down.
Yeah,
it's trying to kill us, man.
Yeah, well, again,
Mother Nature's the best therapist.
To be fair, the planet's fine. All right. We're the ones who have the problem, right? The planet's fine. Planet's going to be here long time, way longer than any one of us. We are the ones that are creating the problem. We're creating it for ourselves, and we know it's a problem, and we continue to exacerbate the problem. That's a level of confusion and disease on mass scale that is unique to humans. It's unique to humans, and we all need fucking therapy. And even the therapy, it might not save us. We all we all might meet some terrible fucking ends still here, even if we mentally collect ourselves. But at least if we mentally collect ourselves, we stand the best chance in writing it out. I don't know. Clint, buddy, here's my thing. The cognitive dissonance in the world is so great right now. I see so many like juxtaposed scenarios that it just makes me question, like, what is real? Like, something that's been really fucking bothering me lately is let's go back in time. Let's go way back before Don't Tread on Me got co-opted by the Tea Party, before Trump. Let's go back before the 90s. Let's go back way, way, way in time, where the concept of like someone who was libertarian or anything other than democratic, a communist or a socialist. Let's go back to the time when those things actually meant something, right? At one point in time, there was a time that those concepts existed outside of mass media even. It was the will of the people. People were like, it's how they got so many people to go fight and needlessly die in wars, right? But what has always fucked me up is the manipulation of the real control center, whatever that is, whoever that is on this planet Earth. It's not the governments. If you think the fucking elected official of your city, state, town, or nation is the most powerful person in your country, you're a fucking idiot. Because there's a bunch of people that are paying for his campaigns, and they have a lot more influence than you think they do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that whole power structure, whether it's a shadowy situation or a more overt thing that most regular people like ourselves were just ignorant to, I just love how they're able to manipulate us so easily that back when being an anti-government problem was a thing, like back in the days when it was like, I'm going to rebel against authority, I'm going to rebel against the people who are in power now. It's not that I'm rebelling against democracy, it's that I'm rebelling against the corruption of the people now. Over the course of the past like 50, 60 years, it's been so easily twisted to make those people, and really what I'm getting at here is like more right-wing people, right? More fringe people who say be less big government, small government, small government. Do you really want small government, or do you want what am I trying to articulate here? I think is the question I need to ask myself right now. So I'm going to ask myself that question right now. What I'm trying to articulate here is, how can we be so stupid to say and think the things that we do without thinking about any of the things that we think we do? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Right?
No, absolutely.
So when we have a bunch of people on either political side of the spectrum who say they stand for one thing, but in reality, the people that they're supporting stand for the opposite, right? It kind of sums up my general disillusion with modern politics, or even the modern application of politics. It's all the same shit. Like it's just bothered me so badly over the past couple years. It has my whole life, but especially the past couple years, where I'll hear people say shit like, I'm against this, I'm against that, I'm against this. But then they vote for or support a person who is for and heavily documented doing those exact things. And it doesn't even have to be a right or a left thing, because I can point to inaccuracies, hypocrisies, conspiracies, and all types of collusion on either side of the political spectrum. But I just think it's so funny how, especially with fucking social media, how easy it is for people who think one way to be manipulated into aligning with a thing that they think stands for one thing, but in reality, it just stands for the exact same bullshit. I don't know if any of this is making sense, or if this is all like way too abstracted or philosophical, right? I'm riding the wave from me and Mike talking about our philosophy class. But I don't know. Did any of that make sense? First of all, is my first question. Second of all, is what are your thoughts on that, if any of it made sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, I shouldn't have mentioned politics. That's my thought. No, we always go down a crazy rabbit hole. But no. I mean, that makes sense. People aren't. I don't think people are necessarily self-aware, right? I think that's a big thing for me right now, is just people being self-aware, because I try to be, right. At least like if I'm doing something, it's for a purpose, even if that purpose is it just makes me feel good or whatever. But people do things without even thinking about them. Right. And then they can't even justify it. Like there's just no thought to it. They're just like, I just do this. This is what I do. And you're like, why? Why are you doing that? What is the outcome of that? It's going to be the same thing you've always done. Right. Like, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Does that kind of touch on it?
Yeah. And I'm you're right. At least a portion of it is lack of self-awareness, or kind of going back to what I was saying before. It's hard. It's hard to analyze the things that you think about. It's hard to take the things that you have folded into your personal philosophy and analyze them and God forbid, do some fucking research on them and maybe decide after ingesting a little bit more information, if it's something that's still relevant to you or still applicable. But I don't know. Honestly, I shit on humans a lot because we're mostly to blame, right? Humans, even when you think about like the architecture of the control mechanism that social media is now, and for disseminating information or disinformation or swaying public opinion this way or that way, like it's a tool. I think it can be widely viewed as now as something that has been compromised in manipulating the will of the people. Like there's enough evidence to prove that now. Why we trust that any more than we would trust any other institution that gets compromised, any other institution that gets exposed in the way that social media does. But
well, it's because you see your friends on it.
Right. We still participate in it, right? As much as we know, as fucked as we know the situation is, we all choose to participate. So we can only blame social media for a slim percentage of it, right? A slim percentage of the problem is that somebody created this attention sucking device to just drain our fucking energy. But the other 50% is that we choose to turn on our phone and do it, right?
Totally.
So
unless you're also using it as a tool.
Sure. But even so, like even being self-aware and participating in it, you're still contributing to whatever it is, however you view it, a problem or a benefit, right? You're still contributing to it. So we're not sitting here saying that because we use social media a certain way, we're exempt from this. We are just as guilty of the things that we're accusing everyone else of, right? But the thing that really just annoys me is there is like a concerted effort for our attention, even within the apps. Like the apps are designed to keep us scrolling, to keep us there as opposed to another app. And when Facebook buys this app or this app, it's just to make sure that the eyeballs stay in the Facebook meta world as opposed to Amazon or whatever else.
If anybody, exactly, because they don't want you clicking out of anything else, right? So here's a little experiment for the 0 people listening.
Hey, we've got one. We've got one.
Yeah. Whoever's listening, turn off, like just put your phone down for an hour and then go back and look at your notifications. Instagram will be like, hey, somebody that you like a lot, like X member, liked this, check it out. Like they want you to come do it. They're like, so-and-so liked this photo. Look at the photo. Like they're like, hey, come back.
Please.
Like,
please come back.
It's what it's meant to do. Right. And I just don't think us as humans, it's going to take a couple generations for humans to kind of level out with that, because like we've already seen it completely just rot us. Like it ruined us.
Yeah.
And luckily I think because everybody got locked inside so much for the last like couple years, I think a lot of people were able to kind of like take a step back. And obviously just as many people were not able to take a step back, but some people were able to be like, I don't know about this. Like I'm at least going to try something. I'm going to get off of Facebook.
A shocking
I'm
number.
Off of this app and try it. Yeah.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. And even though they're still participating in different ways, like they started using a different app, or they do this instead. But like a lot of people were able to start like understanding like, this doesn't seem like real. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just seems like it's just pushed on me. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Cause again, like once
it is, I guess
moves into the app,
that's kind of my point is it is. So like humans have to take some fucking accountability here, but also we need to be aware that there's literally an entire infrastructure around designing other humans, designing better ways to keep us in the app. Like the chips are stacked against us is what I'm saying, right? We were feeble to begin with. And then when you have highly specified and talented groups of teams developing the algorithm that keeps you scrolling in this app over the other app, we don't stand a fucking chance. Like we're so easily programmed, especially by flickering fucking screens, that will do almost anything they fucking tell us to do. We live in a fucking prison of screens, and nobody is willing to fucking accept that reality until we're actually all just completely surrounded by screens at all times. But
you live in a prison of screens, and you're doing 25 to life, baby.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we might actually hit that number. But I don't know. It's designed to suck us in. It's designed to funnel us toward the content that people our age and of our demographic are more inclined to engage with. It's designed to do this. And this is just me speaking personally, but for middle-aged white man in America, the funnels on YouTube that I should be going down according to the algorithm, their algorithm YouTube holes I don't want to fucking go down. I don't want to participate at all in that.
Dude, I noticed that. At all. Even the other day, like, here's a perfect example. The other day I was like, I was just like fucking off on like YouTube. I was just trying to find something to watch while I like ate lunch or something, just something on in the background, like doing shit, whatever. And I was just like, oh, I want to know about this. It was like some Vice. I left some like Vice thing on, and then it was like Vice at like a neo-Nazi rally. And I was like, yeah, I'll leave this on and just see what the fuck this is about, just because like I was just like, yeah, I'll listen to whatever the fuck is going on that side.
Sure.
And then the videos that played after that were all, he's like, here's a Proud Boys, here's this. And the more you click on it, it's only going to show you Proud Boy and like conservative and guns.
Hyper
and like,
specific.
dude, like the ads change. Right. Yeah. And then your algorithm changes. I had to like completely, I was like, fuck, I like unfollowed Vice. I like unfollowed everything that like led me to like that. And I was like, I'm just going to watch music videos, and it's all going to be like, you know, it's like, I'm just watching like album reviews and wrestling. And then now it's back to just music and wrestling instead of like weird political discourse, I don't want to watch that. Like, but that's how it starts though. Right. Like they kind of get you sucked in, and then they're just like, oh, well, if you like that, you'll just like this.
Here's the other content. Here's the other content that you're statistically most likely to engage with. So here you go.
And then next thing you know, you've got a fucking, you're a proud gun owner, and you're like, yeah, I'm just looking for a group of guys just like myself to hang out with, Is there anything in town going on? where a guy like me, can get together and talk about guns. Yeah.
I mean, now we're flagged, dude. I just said guns. Look, I'm all for guns. I have zero problem against guns. If you want to own a gun, you better know how to take that motherfucker apart, clean it,
totally,
and
you know what I'm saying,
actually use it with a serious degree of accuracy. Yeah, sure.
No, absolutely, but that's literally how people get sucked into like those groups, like
100%.
Like in the Northwest, it's like Proud Boys are like a big thing out here. Like every now and then you'll be like downtown on a Friday, and then all of a sudden a bunch of fuckheads with the same haircut and shit, all just they're running around town and just trying to cause trouble, and like, hey, yeah, America, look at me, like, but those dudes all got sucked in because they found it on the fucking internet.
Absolutely. And
guarantee they didn't walk by a stand. It's like, sir, can I give you a pamphlet?
Yeah.
Like that's like not what happens anymore.
Yeah, it was getting lost down some fucking rabbit hole with Andrew Tate and Dan Blazarian and probably some Lex Friedman or fucking Jordan Peterson. Sure.
I didn't even know who Andrew Tate was until all this shit went down, and I was like, what a douche.
Look. and again, like, honestly, we could talk about how much of a douche Andrew Tate is for an entire fucking episode.
Everybody else is right
that
now. That
motherfucker is just king of the incels. His insecurity is so obvious, it oozes out of him. His skin actually looks oily most of the time because his insecurity, there's so much of it inside of him, it just seeps through his pores. He's fucking worthless, but he is just a product of our society. And the reason that people relate to him is because, just like with everything else, he's telling them exactly what they want to hear. What they don't realize is that he doesn't give a single shit about anyone that's paying for their subscription to Hustlers University. he just understands the manipulatable power of the fucking
and then turns it up to
algorithm
10 when the camera's
the
on.
internet.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. And he's just, it's the same thing, just dressed a little bit differently. And I guess that's I've always had that problem. I've always had this argument with young people, adults, contemporaries, elders. Okay. I've always been able to like look at the information that I'm giving and being like, that's not 100%. And I know it's not 100%. That story buttoned up a little too nicely for it to be all that was there. You know, I heard a lot about the experience of the natives of this country from the government's perspective, but in school, I didn't hear shit from the native perspective. And I imagine their retelling of the story is quite different than it was in the books that I learned it in. So that is, I understand that most people don't look at the world that way. And I understand that it's unsettling for most people, which is why they don't look at the world that way. But for me, I would just rather the uncomfortable truth to a comfortable lie any day. And I feel like we've become so accustomed to the comfortable lie that it doesn't even have to be comfortable anymore. Just anything that I can immediately agree with or I don't know. I don't get
just
it.
Anything to ease
I don't
that.
get it.
Anything to ease that pressure, like anything. It's
Sure.
like,
Yeah. There it is. Yeah.
That's where that illness is, right? It's like anything to like ease that pressure of that uncomfortable thought, right? So it's like, you know, like example of whatever, like any like that Hustlers University shit is where he's like talking about how women should be or whatever. He's like, some guy's upset, you know, and he's like, oh, my girlfriend broke up with me. Maybe it's me. And then he sees a video like that. He's like, no, it's not me. It's her. She should be acting like this. She's the one that's crazy. I'm fine. And I'm going to, you know, and then he just goes down this hole. Right. So they find something that eases that like harmful thought, that thought that's like, maybe it's me.
Right.
And that's the self-awareness, right?
The one that if you unpacked it, it would drastically improve your relationships moving forward. But it's easier. Yeah, you're totally right.
Any adult, and I'm not saying I'm like 100% mentally sound, right? But I've had therapy before and I've like talked about shit, done whatever. But like, I remember specific points in my life where some shit happened. I was like, is it me? No, it can't be. And then and then I'll like think about it. I'm like, oh God, it is me. Man, I should probably work on myself a little bit. Like I'm going to change up my routine. And I didn't just lean on a crutch of like, just like, you know, it's this and fuck that, you know, like because it's easier to blame other people and it's easier to not take accountability. Right. And it's easier to not be self-aware. Right. Like, you know, what do they say? Like ignorance is bliss. Right.
Yeah.
You know,
life is painless, brainless. Yeah. No, for sure. And honestly, dude, like, you know, there's a lot of things that happen, Clint, that we can't speak to in these current times, right? There's a lot of experiences that you and I just don't have. So we don't have anything to say. Our input is not needed at all, right? Mm-hmm. But one thing you and I can speak on is the general disillusionment of the middle-aged white male, right? It's something you and I have had much experience with. Okay. And we were debatably having the midlife crises that most people don't have until much older in our 20s. Like we were just always looking at the world that way. And I'm not talking about in the Proud Boy sense. I'm not talking about in the I've been given a short stick. What I guess I mean is I've been able to look at the world and say, it's not fair for anybody. And for some people, it's a little bit easier. For some people, it's much harder, but it's not really fair for anybody. Yet the people who make it unfair for everybody convince us that it's our fault. They convince us it's our fault that the problem exists. When really, it's not all our fault. It may be partially our fault, but it's not all our fault. But what I've never understood is why a goddamn middle-aged white person has to be complaining about anything especially about being proud of their race. Now, we've talked about this before. That's something that you and I immediately reject every time we hear it. As soon as you or I start hearing about purity, we've got something to say, and they usually don't like it, right?
No.
It's always been the case, right? I just don't, so you and I may be exempt from that, but I don't get how any person, especially a middle-aged white man, gets down the rabbit hole of, my whiteness is threatened and I need to be proud of being white. I don't know.
No, absolutely not.
I don't understand. I just don't understand how somebody gets to that point that you need to like validate and you think that society has dragged the white man down so much that you need to restore pride in your whiteness. It's just never made sense.
No, like I've seen this shit where they're like, well, we're trying to preserve our culture. It's like, oh, you mean like the ones that like white culture destroyed for years and years, and there's several instances of it, like the Crusades or colonialism or whatever. But again, not my place to speak on it.
maybe we should maybe we should destroy a little bit of white people's culture, just to level it off, just to level it back down, get it on the path toward redemption. We won't ever get there.
Culture is so fucking boring anyways, like like to be real, because it was just a bunch of fucking people that just like, we've talked about this before. It was like royal families and things, just like, we are the pure, yes, we are pure, and we will spread the good word of God or whatever the fuck, right? And that's what that shit is, right? And now that like the conquering isn't in a physical sense, where they're taking over lands in a way that is like, I don't want to say bloody, because it's still sure as fuck is with like
it is
Iraq and all this shit. Sure, but like, but it's twisted in a different way, right? It's not like, it's not our destiny is to take over all of this, right? It's like,
right.
I don't know, man. I feel like people either don't know or they just forget how humans ended up here in the first place, and it's not a pretty story for middle-aged white dudes. It's not.
No.
Like nobody, but it's a failure on the school's part for not like going more into that. Like, I had to find this shit on the fucking internet, but the problem with the algorithms now is, I feel like 10 years ago there weren't as many paid ads, and there weren't as many, like, the algorithm wasn't in such a way where I could search for weird niche things that I wanted to learn about and could find.
Sure.
Now, if I search for a weird niche thing, it's going to say, oh, you like that, you like this, you like this. And then it just leads you down this weird hole to ease any kind of pain or thought outside of whatever this program or algorithm is.
Yeah.
And you just get sucked into it. And that's where I think those issues come from. Right? Like, that's where like the people who get like sucked into it, they're not able to think outside of it because it's easier not to. And they've consumed so much of that information straight for them, curated for them, that it's just the way they talk.
Right. Or think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, dude.
I just stay in my That's why I just stay in my lane. I just try to be nice to people. I want to listen to death metal and like,
but
like,
see this, again, this is the thing that I keep going back to, that I have to say to everybody. If we're busy fighting amongst each other over trivial, meaningless, pointless points, like, there's so many fucking easy concessions that every single person on this earth could make on a daily basis. Simple, self-effacing concessions to benefit the greater good. We could live in a utopia tomorrow, but we're not going to, because those are, it's hard. It's hard when you feel like your whole life you've been struggling to get ahead. It's hard to justify anything for the greater good. I get that. I completely understand that, but it's not going to get better until we start acting differently, right? If we just continue on with the way things were, then nothing's going to change. And one thing I've always seen about the world is that the world is chaos. Nature is chaos. Existence in this universe is chaos. There's no fucking guarantee to any of it. You know, I would rather some chaos right now than for us to continue to make the same stupid fucking mistakes for another decade. But we're probably gonna do that anyways.
To bring all of this back full circle, the first thing that I said in the podcast was, or one of the first things was, you know what I learned this year is that there are no rules and you just need to go with the flow and just get your shit done and do what makes you happy and just keep going. Because you're right, the world is chaos. And if you try to live in a structured, rigid way, it's going to break you. Like it's going to
you don't stand a chance.
If you go with the flow,
you're fighting the force of the universe when you do that.
Absolutely. So there's our meta moment.
I was walking around outside today and I was like actually like thinking about how I walked. And I was like, man, I walk with my head tilted forward. Like I lead with my mind at all times. Like physically, I do it so much mentally that now it's physically starting to take shape. I like lean forward. It's fucked up my center of gravity. And I took a second and I was like, maybe if I lead with my heart, right? If I take a deep breath, you know, stretch my back out, stand up nice and tall, straighten my neck out, lead with my heart. You know, first is my heart. Second behind my heart's my mind. Third behind my mind's my body. Fourth behind my body's my soul. My heart stays in the lead. But
there you go.
You know, I didn't get to see Glassjaw, and all I got was that shitty T-shirt. So
it was a bad year.
I'm just kidding. My buddy Ian did go to that show for me in my place, and he sent me videos and an awesome T-shirt. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, you know what else my New Year's resolution is for 2023? Stop buying tickets to large shows because I have not had a good experience either with attending or with trying to attend, and Ticketmaster just has my money for fucking 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So fuck going to large shows. Support underground artists. Go to small shows. They're way more fun. Well, and then you run into weirdos like James just trying to think about if he's leading with his heart or his mind walking around a room.
You know, dude. This is my problem, right? See, like the problems that most people. Oh, that's hilarious. You know, the problems that most people are concerning themselves with, those died in me a long time ago. Those don't even factor. Like some difficult decisions that other people have are very fucking easy for me because the shit that I'm stressing about is not the same shit that most people are stressing about.
No, not at all.
But I don't recommend people live that way. It's not easy. I need a lot of therapy. Okay. There's a lot of therapy required to fix that. But the ability to be like, you know what? Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it really is me. That is a thing that has, like you were saying before, there are moments in my life, big moments where change occurred, where I was faced with that question and I went down the path of unpacking it. And, you know, sometimes I found that a lot of times I found I was the fucking problem. I was the problem. And the only thing that was going to fix the situation was me changing my behavior. You know, rarely did I find myself not all at fault. Even at points where I wasn't completely at fault, I still was at fault to some degree. So, but that's hard to do. People don't want to do it. And, you know, I just hope in the fucking new year that people are, it's honestly, dude, it's like just everyone be humble, right? Everyone be humble. We've got this Andy Warhol said in the 80s, in the future, everyone's going to have their 15 fucking minutes. And we're here. We're at the point of time that he was talking about, where everyone has a platform and the ability to have their 15 minutes. Not everyone needs their 15 minutes, right? Not everybody needs any time at all. And the disillusionment that the apps have you know, spread amongst the people is that what we're doing is the most important thing. our experience is the most important thing. It means nothing. If everyone went along with their days and interacting with social media with in the back of their mind that none of this means anything, I'm telling you, dude, we'd live in a fucking utopia. It would be so much easier for people to make the sacrifice, the simple, daily, seemingly insignificant sacrifices that actually make life better for everyone if everyone's doing it. Totally. We live in a fucking utopia, but fuck that. I need more likes. Fuck that. I don't need any fucking smart things that are going to make people think. I need more likes. Here's my ass cheeks.
I mean, I like those pictures. I want people to feel good about their bodies.
I would like that picture too. I would specifically design it so that if you swiped left and right, it would look like they were clapping. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
The algorithm's working, buddy. That's my butt. Yeah, man. I think it's about just that self-awareness and that accountability and being able to say like, oh, maybe I am the problem, or maybe I should think about this more. But it's also, I think the conversations that I've had with a lot of my friends that are feeling like bad about life heading into like 2023, it's this fear of failure, because I think the internet has given everybody such a warped perspective of like what success is, yeah. and because I feel like at one point it used to be like, oh, at least I'm not that guy, right? Like they would just make fun of like, you know, dorks and stuff on TV, right? It would just be like goofy characters and whatever. You're like, oh, at least I'm not that guy. Like now it's, oh, I wish I was this person.
Right.
So, but that person only got to where they're at. You didn't see them fail their fucking ass off for 10 years to get famous, right, or get a platform or do whatever. And obviously some people, it gets handed to them for whatever, but yeah, a lot of people, like, nothing worth having comes easy. And I just want anybody listening to this and any of my homies, any of my friends, it's fucking okay to fail, because you're a human and we all do it. And that's how you fucking learn and get better at things. If not, you're going to keep doing the same thing and you're shit. And then you're going to lean on something that is easier for you to handle. And that could be fucking like some drug shit. That could be some weird fucking thoughts that go down a weird YouTube hole and get you into some weird shit. Like either way, don't be afraid to fail. Try some shit. It's okay to fucking learn. And anybody who's around you that is not like helping you learn and understand that, then they can get the fuck out. Cause like that's all on them, because they're not willing to fucking take that shit to say, oh, why am I failing? They're blaming it all on you. So either way, that's my little therapy moment. So,
well, I love that, Clint. You're the best therapist. It's like almost like you're legally trained. Clint charges $50 per session. You can bill him at clintg@cashapp.com.
James, that's our time. No more.
That is our time. That is our time. Yeah. 2024. Everyone needs therapy, and
2023, bro. 2023. You're already thinking ahead. That's what I like about you.
Yeah, dude. Fuck 2023. I'm already over it. This shit won't get fixed in a year. The best we can do. You know what? I'm not going to change myself this year, but you know what? 2024. That's the year I'm going to change. That'll be the New Year resolution that I stick to.
It's going to be a good year.
Will it? I don't know. Anyways, thank you for joining us. This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. 1, 2, 3.
4.